Is that you, Mr. Santos?
This is me. How you doing, Micki?
The one and only, man. I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. I'm doing that. My new show, Mickey's Free Ride, out here in,
Mm.
yeah, man. It's in Arizona on 93.9 The
Mm.
Mountain, and chatting with my friends and special guests such as yourself. We Steve Ferroni's next. We've spoken to a bunch of people, but I had to include you, man. Besides playing with me and Billy Joel, Elton John, John Fogerty, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, the Neville Brothers, Tommy James and the Shondells, the Rascals,
Oh yeah,
Billy Preston.
yeah,
Dude, you're like the real deal. Besides being my brother and my friend,
yeah.
we just wanted
American Horse.
American Horse. You're the one that introduced me to Cindy Blackman Santana, but there's so much to talk to you about, David. But let's start right here, because you're like all around bassist, brother. I've played with a lot of greats, but you're probably on the top of that list as being an all around bass player. Who would you say, besides Jack Bruce, because we know you love Jack Bruce,
Yeah.
would be your classic
Oh, yeah.
rock, classic rock influences in the day, Dave?
Man, you know what? I came up with Paul McCartney and Bill Wyman and the rock people in the '70s. Really, more the '70s than the '60s. Although I did listen to those '60s people, and
Right.
Jack Bruce at the top of the list. But I'm a little younger than those guys. I came about, I guess, maybe, let me see, maybe 10 years behind Ferroni. And I met Steve in New York City years ago in the '80s when there was a lot of rock and roll going on and the China Club was happening.
Oh yeah, oh
He was
yeah.
doing, yeah, you were there.
Of course.
There, they had him roped off in corners with, like, famous people all the time. Bowie,
Awesome.
Clapton,
Right.
you know. I would come around, but I wasn't one of those guys because I was younger. So he liked me, and I knew him, and we did some playing and stuff. But he, I was from another era. I came up just behind that group. And
Right.
So my listening was from the '70s, and I actually heard Steve Ferroni first before I heard him with the Average White Band on a Freddie King record, because I'm a blues fanatic. And
Oh yeah.
the record came out in '71, I think. It was called The Burglar. And, man, he was just so funky. And then the Average White Band got him. And, of course, I followed him through that. And then he went to Clapton and all that. So then Steve and I started playing together. And we always loved each other. And then when you asked me, wow, Cindy can't do this.
Right.
She's busy now. And
Right.
I said, Steve, he's the only one because we're like brothers. And you and I are as well.
Totally. But for me, meeting you in Nashville and Tutko, our brother, who's in rock and roll heaven now, and playing with you on American Horse. You're all over that record. You're all over Tattoo Burn Redux, my new blues CD. That's stuff that we had done, you and I and Cindy, and it's a Redux re-release of all that killer stuff that we did. But your bass playing style, to me, is so versatile, and your pocket and your lock, David. It's just, I want the listeners to understand. Yeah, man, how versatile you are. Come on, you're going from Billy Joel to John Fogerty, and we're playing three-piece the stuff that me and you really dig. Blues, rock, bass, blues.
Well, that's why I love you so much, and that's why I love your style.
Oh, bro, thank you,
There's
man.
a lot of guys from our era and age group, we're about the same age.
Right.
We had a lot of funk in our thing.
Yeah.
We played with Prince, and we had all
Yes,
that. And
yes.
the funk, we all wanted to be funky, and we are, but, man, we're rockers. I'm a rocker. And,
Yeah.
I had Toto. Toto asked me to come out and play some shows, and I went out and did them. And I love those guys. They're unbelievable musicians. And at the same time, right between the ending of the Toto last show that I did, and then a little time passed, and then Melissa Etheridge called me.
Wow.
When Melissa called, I said, "Oh man, Melissa is so rock and roll, man. She's so leather pants and so
Right.
in bold and chick rocker, man. And I like that. I want to be in a rock band." So I said, "Sure, I'll do it." I was waiting for Toto to call me back about future dates, and it just so happened that this. And of course, I had agreed to do more dates.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
look at this. Said, yeah, man, we'll get you back out. Look, and I'm waiting, and then they're working their thing out with Leland Sklar and Nathan East, and I said, And then Melissa called, so I said, it's rock and roll, man. I want to play rock and roll. So I'm on the road, slamming it out with Melissa every night. She comes out and takes no prisoners. She's great, and like we do the same thing.
Dude, I mean, one of the highlights in my career, I mean, was when you and I and Cindy Blackman Santana, remember when we performed those shows in Hyde Park, when 100,000 people. And
I remember.
Oh, dude. And Wyman was our guest. Bill Wyman from the Rolling Stones was our guest. I mean, it's legendary. It's all over YouTube, folks, the listeners. I mean, if you want to really get a thrill like we had, you can just go to YouTube and type in Micki Free, David Santos, Hard Rock Calling, and it comes up of us playing. And that was just so stellar, the way, we were just killing it, smoking it. And then ridiculously, and then you were so gracious when we brought out Bill and we did Red House and we did Jumpin' Jack Flash, and I was freaking out, of course, playing with the Rolling Stone, and you're there singing backgrounds remember on stage with Bill Wyman, and I'm digging it. I just loved it, man. And he we couldn't get him off the stage. Remember, he wanted to jam with us and stuff, and you were laughing.
That's fine. Man, he's my hero.
Oh.
I said I'm sitting in the trailer, and this door, somebody knocks on the door, and they say, Bill Wyman would like to speak to you.
Oh my God!
And I said, oh, really? Okay, so I run over to his trailer. I'm led to his trailer by this person, and he's sitting there, and I walk in, and he says, I can't do an English accent.
Right.
But he says, I just had to ask you, do you mind if I sit in with Micki, because I really want to play with Micki, and
crazy.
but I know it's your gig. But would you mind terribly if I played a couple of songs? I said, of course not.
Bill Wyman, right, from the Rolling Stones.
Royalty,
rock royalty.